Commencing transmission. Engaging scramblers. Proxy chain initialized. And now, live from his hidden base at the Earth's core, the future ruler of Earth, Doomcock.
Greetings, Legionnaires, Nemeses, villains, and future subjects. I am Dicta Van Doomcock, the future ruler of Earth, broadcasting from my secret base at the Earth's core to review the season opener of Black Mirror, the Callister. The Callister, at first glance, appears to be an affectionate tribute to a version of a Star Trek set somewhere between the original series and the next generation. In the opening, Jesse Plemons appears as Captain Robert Daly, eerily channeling William Shatner as he commands the USS Callister, populated by a crew of sycophants who eagerly follow his every order as he boldly leads them on dangerous adventures, at the conclusion of which he kisses his miniskirt-clad female crew members in the best Kirk tradition. But this, being Black Mirror, nothing is as it seems. Captain Daly ends what is a game simulation and wakes up back in the real world in his true guise, a schlubby geek programmer who has created a very popular global MMOG called Infinity. But this Callister universe is not part of the online world of Infinity. Outside of work, on his own private server, Daly has created an Infinity mod centered around his favorite childhood show, placing himself in that private universe and commanding his childhood fantasy starship. Pretty much exactly what Doomcock would do in his place, were Doomcock a programmer, with a few exceptions. Daly has populated his ship with sentient digital recreations of real people in his world, avatar programs that are conscious duplicates of these people over which Daly exercises complete and tyrannical control. And Daly is not reluctant to use this control. To the contrary, Daly has given himself godlike powers in this virtual universe. Anything he can conceive of, he can inflict on these poor, helpless simulations. In a sense, he is like Billy Mooney in that famous Twilight Zone episode where the kid exerts godlike power over the inhabitants of his town. He can reward them or punish them according to his whims. But the worst part of this bubble universe ruled by Daly is no one can die without his permission. His crew members, though sentient, are mere bits of code, and so whatever he does to them, however he tortures them, they will survive and return for more.
A typically brilliant Black Mirror premise. Do they do a good job with the whole Star Trek thing, the angle, the recreation of that universe?
They do. The feel of the Callister is very Star Trek, as is the look and the tone, until, of course, it turns horrific. The name of the show Daly idolizes is Space Fleet, not Star Trek. But it's clear what's going on here. This is both a loving tribute to Star Trek and a meta-commentary, I think, on fan fiction.
Fan fiction? Huh. Well, that's not really an angle I've heard before.
Basically, this universe is Daly's fan-fictional version of Space Fleet, and as such, it suffers from the classic failures of fan fiction. Daly is unbeatable in this universe, imbued with brilliance, courage, stamina. Essentially, he is a Mary Sue, good at everything, the solver of every problem.
The bestest person ever!
In his universe. So naturally, the storytelling sucks. These adventures of his are rote, boring for everyone except him. None of the digital clones are entertained or interested in these adventures. They're merely going along with them because it's required of them. These adventures are only interesting to Daly because he's indulging in masturbatory wish fulfillment, placing himself in these tales as master of the universe, just like Kathleen Kennedy has, I suppose, mandated a perfect avatar for herself as Rey in the new Star Wars atrocity. The problem is, perfect characters are dull. Their adventures are foregone conclusions. There's no character, no growth, no change. With a Mary Sue or a Captain Daly, this happens, and this happens, and this happens, the end. There is no linkage, no evolution in the story. There's nothing but physical risk for the character because really there is no character. There's no reality to the story. It doesn't gel, it doesn't live. It's just a vehicle for the author to feel good about themselves, projecting themselves as fans into a universe they didn't create. Daly creates this Callister universe based on an old property, true, but without the charm, the wit, or the writing quality of the original that made it a hit. It's just a sad excuse for a powerless slob to pretend to be wonderful, just like Rey and Mikey Spock.
So, you saw this episode of Black Mirror as an indictment of fan fiction and not a warning about digital recreations of humans? After all, the crux of this episode was that perfect digital recreations of people were eternally trapped in programs. I mean, isn't that what this is really about?
If it's that simple, then Black Mirror is repeating itself. They did that already the season before, in the episode where people could clone themselves, place their consciousness inside a utility shaped like an egg, and use their own digital copies as personal assistants, running their schedules, making their coffee, and so on. That was digital hell, absolutely chilling, creating a perfect conscious version of yourself to serve as your personalized slave. So duplicating that here would be pointless. We've seen that before, a version of you trapped in a program that can never die. Black Mirror is better than that. So I'm assuming they had a different spin on this concept, and I believe it is that. While the plot essentially involves a woman trapped on the ship ingeniously conspiring to overthrow Daly and escape his control, and the conclusion of this is irrelevant to my review, so I won't spoil it here except to say it's quite satisfying and well done. The core of this episode must be the ugly worthlessness of most fan fiction. Fans typically make lousy writers. They have love of the property, but they often seize on a character as their avatar in their stories and ruin any chance for drama or genuine interest by making their chosen identity perfect in every way. That's death for a story. Rey is a terrible yawn as a character. Mikey Spock is especially insufferable because everyone talks about how wonderful she is, while all of us clearly see what an arrogant fuck-up she is. That cognitive dissonance makes Star Trek Discovery a particularly odious experience for anyone with a brain, and so it is with the Callister. Certainly, on a plot level, being at the mercy of the whims of the godlike Daly, who can take away your face and leave you suffocating forever without dying, is the crux of the dilemma. But on a meta level, the greatest hell of the Callister is the awful boredom of Daly's mundane, predictable, and self-indulgent adventures. And that is the hell all of us who are Star Wars or Star Trek fans share. Idiotic executives who have no idea what their franchises are about and why fans loved them in the first place have captured us and tried to force us to live in their perverted universes that bear no resemblance to the originals. And so, Black Mirror's commentary in this regard is perfect in its timeliness. Black Mirror always manages to home in with uncanny accuracy on the fears and concerns of our time. In this, Black Mirror is the most unsettling and potently frightening series of all time.
I guess because I'm so alien to you monkey people, it doesn't really scare me at all, but I hear what you're saying. People are weird. The main thing I want to talk about is the weird juxtaposition between the miniskirts and Daly's aversion to any sexual content in his Callister sim. Isn't that kind of weird?
It is indeed, Harvey Cthulhu. This is a curious deviation from an otherwise excellent tribute to Star Trek. Now, sex has always been a big part of Star Trek. Kirk was an intergalactic horn dog of the First Order, and sex definitely occurred on the show. In wink of an eye, in fact, they even show Kirk sitting at the edge of his bed, zipping up his boot as the alien chick he just banged fusses with her hair in his mirror. And in Bread and Circuses, Kirk definitely bangs the alien slave blonde girl on the Roman planet when the proconsul tells him, "You are a man, and I wanted to give you one last night as a man." And Kirk says,
I thank you for that.
So yeah, Kirk banged chicks all the time. So it's curious for Daly, in his emulation of Space Fleet, clearly patterned on Star Trek, to create a universe where there is no sex, and everyone is Ken doll smooth down below in the Wakadow Chichi Wakadow area.
Maybe the Black Mirrors thought the premise was horrible enough without a whole bunch of rape going on.
Yeah, probably a good decision. Though you could have implied that sort of thing. But it does seem like this season of Black Mirror is pulling some punches where before they went for knockout blows. The Callister episode, vague spoiler, has what passes as a happy ending on Black Mirror. And the same goes for Archangel, the next episode, which shies away from the typically horrific direction it would have gone in earlier seasons, and instead crafts an interesting and ambiguous ending, making this more a personal drama than a grand dystopian nightmare. Interesting shift, but still enjoyable. Black Mirror remains a high watermark for television science fiction horror, and everyone should be watching this show. It's painful and disturbing, but it's so plausible it should be required viewing for citizens in the 21st century as a warning glimpse of things to come. I would like to thank all of my subscribers for watching, and I would like to steer people to my online store at zazzle.com/DVD Shoporama. This store is filled with all sorts of Doomcock merchandise. More products are becoming available every day, so always take a look, check it out, and see if you can buy something to help put a giant robot back on his feet and ready to invade the universe. I would also like to point out that I have a Patreon site at patreon.com/Doomcock. There's a lot of us over there having a lot of fun with exclusive podcasts, DVD commentaries, Harvey Cthulhu podcasts, artwork, and so on. Go over there and check it out if you get a chance. From all of us here at the Earth's core, thank you for watching, and as always, stay angry, my friends.
Ha 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 ha.